Aloha. So we're going to learn a little bit about what it takes to do this project. There are a couple of hundred pieces of art to process. Just the abstracts alone, there are 38. And I'm going to be switching screens a lot. This is how I'm able to manage it. These windows here are all dedicated to the project. Okay, so let's move over here for a minute. This is the tablet view of the store, so all of the products are in the store right now, and you can go there and take a look. I'm going to push it over to talk about the abstracts, so let's move that. Okay, so here's all of the abstracts in one page. Okay, and so you're able to see the name. I need to get it to show the SKU number here, but everything else you really need to know right off the bat is here. You've got the image, you've got the price range, and that price range, by the way, is to do with the method, the format they would like to purchase. So just to get that down specific, let's take a look at one. Okay. So here we are. This is showing you the price range, and the price range is based on the option choosing. Are you buying the original, a museum copy, a giclée, a poster, and I want to add NFT? Okay. So the price range is taking all those into account. So let's say I chose an original. It would change this now to say that I'm buying a hand-painted original, and there's only one. We can't buy more than one of those, obviously, so it won't let you. Museum copy is a little cheaper, and that one I could buy as many as I like. Okay, so that's what's going on there, and then we have our description, and then the details about its dimensions and that sort of thing here. Okay, that's basically a page, and related items would show and so forth. So that's a store page for a single item. Okay. Now, once again, all of the, let's go back, I'm going to use the menu here because it'll get me directly to the abstracts, but going back to the collection of abstracts, you can see all of them now together to see what you like. Notice right off the bat, however, that these don't tell me the shape, okay, because it's converted all of these to a square. I don't know the shape of it, so that's another thing I'd like to deal with. Is I can control the image that displays here from the store by the order of events and so forth. So it can be a better image. It could be the room view, the square view, so that they could see what dimension it really is. And I'll show you that later for Instagram and Snapchat and whatnot. We need to have square images as well, and for those I'm building around a room look, so those could show here. But anyway, the point you see is that many times you can't show the actual dimension of the image in the store or otherwise, which brings us to a lot of the problems that have to be resolved here. And so I'm going to just kind of walk through a lot of this real quick and then get this video up for you, and hopefully you can understand the complexity, the foundations that had to be put into place to even consider this project, and the workflow requirement to get it done. So first of all, I'm going to come over and just demonstrate this dashboard a little bit, because I went through a lot of trouble to put this up and try to bring it all together in one place that you can find your answers here. And so I made this as easy as I can. You need to go to the URL, which is Annenberg.com/db, and you've been given the password a couple of times. I'll send it again if need be. Very simple. Once you have the password, you're in, and this is what you're going to see there if you haven't been there already. There's a welcome message, blah blah blah. But this is the important part right here: is the update messages. Okay, recent comments. All right, because this part is like, you can see I got a note in it for today. I've got some issues to deal with. And these things are supposed to kind of tell you where I'm at, and these last couple are just imperatives. Okay. Work strategy, I was trying to explain how the work would get done in my situation. And then these are project links that I'm adding to as need be, but these will get you where we need to go. So obviously these abstracts and things here will will show you this. And so I just made it easy to go right from the dashboard. Okay. Moving on, this is where I'm consolidating a lot of the information about the art, and the idea was so you understand some of the issues involved. Like, you know, we have to deal with the shape of the art. You know, we have 200 paintings. Some of them are landscape, portrait, and round, and so we have, you know, at least 200 images to process for each use. So if we're making one kind of slider or another kind of slider or a shareable image or whatever, we have, you know, a couple hundred to work with. So that means that, you know, trying to do them one-on-one is flat crazy. Okay, you've got to, you want to lay over text and all these things. You need to create a standard. Okay, and then where you can't show the, like I say, this square can't be shown, you got to have a standard for how you're going to display it in a room setting or something. So anyway, we start with the shape, and then we've got the more detailed version that I sent you at one point, you know, explaining the art and device relationship. So we have devices that are landscape or portrait or square. The display portal itself I'm looking through is one of those three. It's landscape, it's portal, or it's square. So as you look on a laptop or a desktop, you're looking at a landscape viewport. When I look at a phone, I'm generally going to be looking at a portrait viewport or a square one, because Snapchat and Instagram and others only do a square so they can put other material below. So when they're sharing on social media and whatnot, it shows through as a square only. And so that's all they offer for those particular social media. And we have the same problem here. We can only show a square to get a nice format for the store as well. So the square portal and a square image is fine, but a square portal and a round image, there's some adjustment has to be resolved. And then there's portrait, trying to put a portrait on a landscape display. So you see, again, here's the list, you know, smartphone, tablet, so forth. And again, you probably read all this, so I'm not going to bore you with details, but I've put everything in here as a reminder for the project, because I'm not the only one working on this project, by the way. I'm trying as available to get help. Barry's been trying to help. I've got, you know, Brad would love to help, but I've got him buried taking care of other things to fix our stuff so we can make some money. And Barry has been writing things to help because we need that written material. And I got to go through his and tweak it. So, and I've got two other people that might be able to help shortly, but that's where I'm at. So anyway, everyone can refer to this or the workspaces. I know you don't go to the workspaces, but we're trying to keep this updated for your benefit. Okay, so now let's take a look at sliders by purpose, right? So we've got the presentation slider or homepage slider for you, right? And what you want there. Totally understand. We're trying to get that done. The product slider, 6 to 9 images that show the product in a room setting or other views, so that you can, you know, get a feel for it in different circumstances. Just it's a way to sell. Okay, it's a catalog approach. Sharing is about one that when it's shared brings us traffic and doesn't, you know, splinter it all over the place. So that if we can control the images that are shared on social media and between friends, that's huge. So we put out our own shareable. These you're free to share images. Okay, and so that's a total of 8 images or so, maybe more. And it just depends again on what's available, how many templates and things we have. So just a reminder about the social sharing here. So this is where it talks about the different portal viewpoints and things. So I put all that in there for reference, right? Okay. Moving on to the home page slider. So again, you know, the specification is you want a full screen display, blah, blah, blah. We got there. And now time estimates, by the way, is out the window because I haven't gotten some answers I asked for, but we'll get to that. So here's what I was getting for. Again, I put this post up here in the updates on October 25th, and the whole point of this was to deal with this issue down here, homepage sliders, and you know, what we're trying to get, what I needed to get out of you still would really help me, is to understand which one of these you prefer. Okay, now this is just showing one set of examples. Okay, we show it in a room setting, and this is when it's in room setting. as well as if it's full screen of the image, by the way. And you'll see both examples before we're done. But this one here is being shown in a room setting. And it always has to be in a room setting. We can bring this picture closer, but ultimately it's a round painting, and I can't show it any other way without chopping it pretty seriously. I mean, that one, it'd be hard to even chop it into a square, if you see what I mean. Okay, but anyway, the point is, the overlay of the name, and I was using the name and stock number, which I need to resolve this. You only want the name and the measurement, or how about just the name? Because the details of size and shape and stuff, it's hard. Overlaying in some cases is easy. Here I've got an overlay because of the room, but when you try to overlay on a painting, it's a whole other matter, and we'll get to that. Anyway, there's a lot more detail here about how it works, and then a repeat of your instructions. So now we look at what happens when we overlay on top of a painting, and as you can see, we've got issues, right? Okay, on the first one, it's okay because the background of the painting is providing a dark space to lay over. On the second one, however, it's not working, and even if we put it in black, it's not good enough because the color messes it up. So that's not perfect. Then the next thing we have is to look at the idea of putting the images in lowercase rather than the uppercase used here, right? We're going to put it in lowercase, all right? And so that's an option. If you choose this, I'm not guaranteeing that it's going to be in the bottom right or the bottom left, so much as that we will use lowercase, and so that's the look we're after, okay? But I would try to put it right or left depending on the background colors involved, and so on, okay? Now moving on here, this is the next example here is let's see, did I get, yeah, okay, so this is just showing you lowercase versus the uppercase in here, right? I like the lowercase most of the time, I think. Okay, and then slider design. This is my if we did it this way, Russell, then you would not have these placement issues. It'd be stupid simple, really, because the color behind it makes it very easy to put the name there and stock number or size or whatever you want. So I'm just throwing it out there. If that were done, then life would be so simple. But regardless, the slideshow can be done where they can click it at any time and be taken to that. Or I'm actually trying to make it where they could click it and it could pop stuff up. Okay, so more picture examples here. Let's see, this one is the same layout, so let's just speed past that. Okay, so here we go to a square portal. Okay, again, Instagram, Snapchat. The phone display is going to be just a square. Okay, so let's open this one up here. Okay, and so you can see here that we could put both the stock number and your metric there. Just again, this is up to you. Oh man, can I get back now? Let's see if I can. Okay, well, it created this window on me, and I don't really know how it did that, so let's see what I got. Let's try this. See if that makes a difference. Ah, there we go. Okay. I'm not sure how I got thrown out, but so be it. Okay, so this, so on this page, you see again we have the, we're still looking at the same place. So here's your options. So again, we can sometimes make it fit, but you see, even if, trying to find the right cut, make the picture as big as I can right here and everything, I'm still left with, oh, now this corner isn't really working for me perfectly to put it underneath, so I end up centering a little in the plant, because the more you go this way, it's lost in the architecture, which wasn't the point. Okay, so then we got, let's see, these are my plans have our preferred. Yeah, okay, this is about the sharing ones. On the sharing ones, there I have a format in mind again, so that we control what they have on them in the first place. And so in the sharing around the world, if somebody prints it, otherwise, there it is. It always comes back to you. Okay, nothing, so they can scan it. Let's say that I'm looking at it on the TV, I like that. I'm at a friend's house. I can just scan that code and it's on my phone now. Okay. Or I can type in the URL. So I talked a little bit about this URL and you know why we're going to use that one and so forth. So I won't get into that here, but that's the example. All right, and so these are just a couple of examples of what that would look like. And I also suggest we get the name here. It's the name of the painting, by whom, and how to get to it. Okay, that's for sharing again on social media and so forth. That's what I propose. All right, about room displays. I detailed more about it to show you why and how and all that, and so I think it's pretty self-explanatory. The information associated, what I'm trying to do, anything you want to change has to be there. I've done a lot of research on value and how to deal with value. Pending problems. I've tried to put everything in here. Okay, so moving on. I want to cover some of the complexities that there's just all these foundational points. You have to understand this is like building a house, right? I mean, you have oh darn, please don't go all the way on me. Windows, man. I'm running virtual Windows. I had it up here just so I can show you. And of course, now that I'm in a video where I can't pause, it's not going to display. That's great. That's just dandy. Come on, wake up. Than to pay for monthly Photoshop, so I have original copies for the Mac and Windows, but my Mac one isn't working on this. It's getting my Mac version is too old to run. It's version 6. So long story short, I'm running through an emulator so that I can run Windows, which I hate, so that I can show you Photoshop, so I can show you the layers and how this works. Okay, so here we go. So in order to process the art, again, I can't sit here and process one at a time and expect to get anything useful. First of all, every piece of art has to be tweaked a little bit. In this case, I was under the impression that I was going to be provided with the art, and when I finally realized that you didn't have anything to provide me with, that I actually have the best collection to work with, I had to then go find that collection. It took me quite a while. I had to pour through a lot of old drives that broke, and that's a whole other nightmare that was involved. I had to move terabytes around, and his stuff was in that, so I had to deep dive to even find the files, verify that they were originals, and so forth. And when I finally get to the bottom of that, it turns out that I don't have any originals for the abstracts. And of course, I didn't figure that out until a few days ago, because I thought I had found all the originals, and then when I went into the files, all it is snapshot size. So I've had to fix that. So there's another video on what I had to do about that that's already posted, so you'll see that. So what we're going to deal with here is what's actually necessary to process each painting. So in this case, the painting in question here is square, and I needed to build a tool. This is more than just one painting slide. See, I have to build a template tool that allows me to deal with a portal. So this is aimed at a rectangular or landscape portal, i.e. your laptop or your desktop. And so you're looking at that shape, and within that shape I'm going to display all the different shapes of paintings, right? I got squares, I got rounds, I got portrait, and then landscape. Now landscape I could show this way, but all the others present problems. So what we've got here is a template we've built, all right? And I had to build this template for just portal, and then another set for just portrait, and another set for square, so that we can do the snapshot and all those guys. All right, so this is the landscape viewing port template. Now within this template, I then had to deal with whether it's a landscape, a portrait, a round, or a square image that I'm going to feature, okay? So what you're looking at here is yet another problem. Since this is a square image, its real shape and size is this, right? So I've got to do something with this extra space, and you want a full screen slider for the front the home page, and I get that, and I'm trying to figure out how to make that as beautiful and awesome as possible. And so I have to figure out what am I going to do with this square one to get it to work with that. So do I build around this? I could, and I will, and I am, but is that really, going to work nice? I mean, you go through and you got this full screen display of a landscape one, and then you got this others where I have to put a room display in. So for example, I have to do this to it in order to display it, right? Because we don't have the right shape to fill the portal. Okay, so another way to deal with that I thought about was, well, what if we take this painting, instead of trying to show the whole thing for the full page slider, we chop it into 2 pieces, right? So here's piece 1, and here's piece 2. Again, with the real image laid over, you can see that I'm taking the upper piece here, and then I'm taking the lower piece, right? Okay, so now we can make 2 slides so that we can maintain across, even though this is square and the next one is rectangle and the next one's portrait, we can chop it so that all of the ones going across in that stream are going to be full screen like this, okay? And they can have the name on it and all that, and you can show this part and the other part, and it'll look great. I mean, the abstracts will allow us to do that. Anyway, I figured this out in the process of working on it, but the point I want to make is back here about what I have to do to process this. So let me close this up. Okay, so this was absolutely required in order to get this done, because we have to figure out the rooms. So we have a square image, we have a round image, we have a portrait image, we have a landscape image. And each of these folders has a subfolder in it. So let's look at a landscape and say, okay, this is showing a more landscape shape image, right? But we're trying to maintain this going to be displayed or viewed through a rectangular or landscaped shaped viewing portal. And so here we're dealing with a more landscape shape that, it's not square, see, so it isn't even going to be used for this. So I don't even use that folder. I only use that on a portrait that was, or on a painting that was landscape to start with. Now, if I was starting with a portrait, then I would want to do this, and so we now have examples for that as well, right? So just to show you a handful, so we can put any image into these different views. You see, that's the point. So all of that's been pre-considered. All right, let's see if that works yet. Okay, let me show this one more time. I like the look of that one better. Okay, so anyway, but see, in this case, this isn't a portrait either. This isn't a round, but if it were, then I have templates for round. Right? Okay, so that's the point here. Okay, and now, lastly, because it is a square, I have these set up so that we can do the square one way or another, right? Okay, so there it is, shown in its more correct shape as a square and in a room setting. Okay? Now, these are set up so that we can take this apart real easy and stick in here at the window itself and then the painting, and I can adjust it. And so there I am. Now, I hope all this makes sense. This is what it takes for me to actually set up and do this. So in order to make this happen, these rooms, each of these rooms had to be collected. So we looked at thousands of images. I think I did around 600. Meryl did around 400, and we went through and then siphoned that down to where by the time it's done, we've only selected maybe 50 or 100 images that we now have set up this way for the landscape and the square. I got to do the portrait template system next. Now, having done all that, I still have to adjust because we want to do overlays and give the name of the painting. So let's take a look up here. See, this would then lay over that image, and that would be a sharing version. And then this would be one possibility that you might like, and then this would be what I think you actually want right here. So let's do an adjustment real quick. Put this on the right instead. And so there, by just flipping around a little bit, I was able to do it. Now, if the image requires it, I might have to actually make another layer and do a special adjustment and put it down in here. So what I'm doing now, let's change this right here, is we're looking at a square, right? close this. We're looking at a square right now. If we move this one, see, it's not going to work right, so I might have to do a custom adjustment for that one. Same problem here, okay? And see, okay, that's the bedroom. Okay, so come here. All right, see, we've got the same problem here. Now, also, we have a problem that it's white rather than it should be black for this particular case. And so I made double sets, right? Let's see, oh, where's that at? Oh, it's not in this revision. I had to use an older version of this to do this demo. But anyway, I have to deal with whether it can be black text or white text and where it can be placed. So in some cases, I'll have to move it around. Like this should just be moved up so it displays about here, and it'll need to be black in order to work with that image. The idea was to get all of these in first so that you can select a room display to work with. Because it's not full screen, it's a square. It can't ever be actually full screen and display the whole image. So anyway, now that you maybe understand this a little better, you can see where this isn't as simple as just poof, put them out. There's a lot more involved, and everything has to be standardized too. So I hope this helps. Now moving on to another aspect of this. Each of there's layers here, so let's take a look at this section next to help you understand. Okay, so this is an output, and so in using that tool I just showed you, the template system, I'm able to now take these images. So for the same painting, we're going to take a look here. These are the different outputs that that template allows, and we can do. Now, one of the things I was looking for from you was to decide this part right here. Are we doing this in uppercase or lowercase? And see, there's the uppercase and lowercase versions. And then here's on the right versus the left. Do you care? Can I please just choose that according to the image? That sometimes be absolutely necessary. If we did this version, we wouldn't have an issue of where to place it. We'd never have a problem with somebody reading it, etc. So I put that in there for you to look at to get that idea. Now this, by the way, again, we're showing twice. It looks like it's twice, but really this is the upper half of the painting, and this, let's see, lower half, upper half, no. Anyway, let's see, 1, 2, oh, well, anyway, let's move on. Okay, so now product pages, and you can see where, we're just changing again. This is uppercase here versus lowercase, and so I'm just trying to show you these options, right? And so I got to make those. Once we decide that, I don't have to make as many. And once we decide that you want the home page a certain way, the most I see myself making is this particular. I'd like to see it full cross like you wanted to. So this would take two. We would make the upper part, and the lower part, and then we would display whichever one of these you like, whether you want it overlaid or what, right? I mean, maybe you prefer this because we want to show the actual shape of the painting, in which case you're going to have to do something, and so this is a setting that we can put in instead. All right. So all of these were meant for options. Once I know which one you're satisfied with, or you give me the leeway to decide for myself, then I can make less of these. I don't have to. I can only make 1 or 2. See, 3 if it has an upper lower, you got 3 maybe. That's part of the question too. You make an upper version, a lower version, and then you make the right shaped version. That's 3. Or you don't make the third one because that's available in the product stream or slider set, right? Okay, that's what we're going to look at next. Is on the product slider set. This is definitely going to be room designs, and again, I can use the format you choose, but I'm showing it different ways, and it's just with the room settings. Even it turns out it's hard sometimes because, like, take a look at this one. It needs to be lowercase because the uppercase is too big, and needs to be set to the right, not the left. So all of these things I have to figure out. Okay, so then sharing, again, I'm just showing you, this is the way I would like to see it shared as far as the footing and marking goes and the QR codes and all that. But again, I was suggesting we could do the 2 cuts, right? And then we could also do a room setting, and those will all be put out as sharing. So again, you saw where I can use the layers to control turning things on and off, but as I use that template on a new painting, I do have to change all the names that I do use, you know, where the text and SKU numbers are. I have to change all that to match the painting that we're working on, right? So that's where the, you know, in this particular section formats, I'll have to do that. It's slow, I guess. All right, that's fine. So you come down here, and you know, here's your SKU, and so forth, and you make the changes. So anyway, that's what that's all about. All right, so oops, don't do that. Okay. So that's what I wanted to be clear about, is how all these you know, happen. So I had to make this bigger, because what I had was a small one. You can see here it's only 450K, and it's only 720 by 692, and the original should be more like 3000 by 3000 or more, really, right? So I had in another video I'll show you how, but I had to recover this because I couldn't find any originals for them. So anyway, this is again you know, showing this, and here's some organizational issues that have to be done too. This one product, right? Okay, so this is just abstracts, and then we're looking at Dreamflight 1 requires this selection of folders in order to organize this material, or I can't find anything, and I'm going to have to keep coming back and coming back. And if I try to do one, anyway, I hope you get that there's a whole lot of organization there that had to be done in order to figure this out so I can find everything. And let's look at another level of organization to help you understand the complexity. This here is about the issue of naming. So I have a name that is composed of a SKU already, and then the name of the painting, but somehow I got to get information on what kind of slider it is. For example, in this case, it's a slider for the home page. We want it to be full screen. We're going to use a bottom bar, or we're going to use an overlay. You know, so that's, and the same thing with the product page and so forth. So right at the moment, I was actually just working on this. I'm playing with it, and we come down to putting, at the moment, this kind of code after the SKU. Well, I screwed that up. We're more P1, whatever, and then a T for the caps. Anyway, so that's where I'm at right now, is trying to do that real quick and get it resolved before I make too many of these. So brings me back to some of the other issues. Let's take a look at, let's see, here I had to adjust, and you'll see this in the other video. I had to adjust things, and so I use one program I use Photoshop for part of it, and I have to use Photoscape for another part of it. So that's in progress. So all of these are things that I'm in the middle of to make it work, right? And so there we are. Let me see, I think, okay, so I was suggesting that you go here to see everything and choose which ones you want me to make first. But then I started working on them, and frankly, it's just involved, and I can only do it so fast. So anyway, that's the end of this video, and I'm going to